I think it rises above negligence. I think this place needs to be investigated for criminal negligence because something has terribly gone wrong.
We announced last night a lawsuit is now in the works against the Tulsa Boys Home and DHS in response to the deaths of 2 boys who ran away from the facility. In March of last year, 14-year-old Cameron Dale was hit and killed on Highway 51. In December, 13-year-old Rylan Harris drowned in the Arkansas River, prompting an investigation by the Oklahoma Commission on Children and Youth.
There is no doubt over the past 103 years, the Tulsa Boys Home and its volunteers have had a positive impact on nearly 14,000 boys in our area. But with the deaths of Cameron and Rylan, I wanted to look into policy, procedures, state law, and safety. My 3-part investigative series begins here tonight with a growing concern over children running away from the Tulsa Boys Home. This report from the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office shows last year deputies were called to the Tulsa Boys Home 226 times after a child ran off from the facility. As you can see, those numbers have grown over the past 5 years, from 93 in 2018 and 101 in 2019. One of those calls came on March 25th when 14-year-old Cameron Dale ran off with a friend in the middle of the night. Cameron was hit and killed on Highway 51.
Oh, this is the dormitory where the boys sleep.
Tulsa Boys Home Executive Director Greg Conway tells me it was the first death in the program's 103-year history.
And when something like this happens to one of our boys, yeah, we feel that, I mean, acutely. We feel responsible for that, even though everything that could possibly done was done.
Conway says Cameron was privately placed by his parents into the facility's substance abuse treatment program. He was there just 9 days before going AWOL.
We had no indication that he would be what we call a flight risk or an AWOL risk or anything of that sort.
But Cameron's mom, Lindsay, tells me Cameron had a history of running away from home and sneaking out in the middle of the night. He was even placed on probation after a run-in with police, where Lindsay tells me Cameron resisted arrest and even kicked a police officer. His probation officer and judge recommended the Tulsa Boys Home. Lindsay says Cameron was ready to get help and excited about the therapy programs. She tells me what she doesn't understand is how after her son died, 9 months later it would happen again with the death of 13-year-old Rylan Harris. Should Rylan Harris ever have been at the Tulsa Boys Home?
Never. He absolutely never should have been there.
Cameron Spradling represents the family of Rylan Harris.
That family knew that boy for 13 years. They knew what was getting ready to be unleashed in that boys' home. And they knew something bad, horrible was going to happen, and they begged for it not to happen.
Rylan was an addict at birth, experiencing meth withdrawals on the way home from the hospital. His adoptive parents, Kim and Ryan, tell me he was medicated at just 18 months and in and out of psychiatric and treatment programs his entire life. He was placed in DHS custody after trying to kill his mom in 2019. While she was driving with her 2 other kids in the car, Rylan tried to smother her with a blanket and then with his hands. Facing a felony and now as a ward of the state, Rylan was placed in a lockdown mental health facility.
They begged DHS. They said he is not safe to himself in such a place, and he is not safe to others.
Despite the warning from Rylan's parents, Spradling says Rylan was removed from the mental health facility and placed in the care of Greg Conway and the Tulsa Boys Home. Should Rylan Harris ever have been placed here at the Tulsa Boys Home?
Well, Rylan fit the profile of a type of a boy that gets placed with Tulsa Boys Home on a regular basis.
In the 8 weeks that Rylan was at the Tulsa Boys Home, Spradling tells me he ran away more than 20 times. On one of those occasions, Rylan stole a golf cart and was arrested while driving down Highway 51, leading to his second felony.
In the first week he was here, he ran away 5 times. He went AWOL 5 times. And then he seemed to settle down, and he was doing remarkably well here for the rest of the time that he was here up until the time that he died.
Something you should know about the Tulsa Boys Home, it's not a lockdown facility, and there are state laws in place that prohibit employees from being able to restrain a child unless they're believed to be a threat to themselves or a threat to others. That means at any time, the 40 children placed by DHS or the 24 privately placed boys in the drug and alcohol treatment program can essentially leave. Aside from a huddle, was there anything tangible that was done after Cameron Dale died to ensure that that wouldn't happen again?
Not really, because when we debriefed and assessed our protocols, we already are doing everything that can be done.
Tomorrow night, our investigation takes us to Oklahoma City, where I met with the director of child welfare with DHS. What role does DHS play in this story? And does the director feel like it was a mistake by placing Rylan Harris at the Tulsa Boys Home? There is so much more to this story, and we'll have it for you tomorrow night right here at 9 o'clock.